Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel and the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel, which is where you are right now. We are here with the April 18th edition of 1992 WCW Saturday Night. Fun to go through these all over again for sure. I should have about 150 or so before I run out of content, which excites me for any number of reasons. But in any event, I'm excited by that, excited by the ability we might have to kind of run things forward and get a good little bit of momentum going with this WCW series. And without a doubt, there are many things that are good about WCW at this time. I prefer WCW 92 to 94. That's my favorite time, and I know a lot of people shrug at that, but that's just mine. If you're looking for business, relationship, life coaching, get that out of the way. Go over to Golden Opportunities Coaching, help you out there too. This particular program, co-hosted by Jim Ross and Dusty Rhodes. Ross at his best, for me, from Mid-South through his WCW days. I was never a huge fan of Jim Ross and the WWF, and I know a lot of people are. I know a lot of people think I'm nuts for that. But I think he lost something when he went to Stanford. I don't know if it was the way he was produced. I don't know if he often didn't like the product, but I love Jim Ross from about 82 to 92. That 10-year run, enjoyed a lot. Scotty Flamingo, otherwise known as the man that would later become Raven, against Johnny Rich here. Rich looks pretty good. Rich is a guy who later goes on to be part of Jim Cornette's Smoky Mountain Wrestling pretty assertively. Some nice hip lock takeovers, basic stuff. Drop to hold by Flamingo. Flamingo actually is a gimmick that I enjoyed a lot of too, actually, believe it or not. I enjoyed that more than the Raven character. The evolution of Johnny Polo was interesting for a little while, but it didn't really hold a lot of weight. But needless to say, that early Raven Scott Levy is fun stuff. Really basic match, working over the arm. Raven cuts him off, or Flamingo cuts him off. I love the basic stuff like fluffing his hair and doing really basic things, back leg trip, and goes right to work on the leg and the hamstring. Several shots by Raven and kind of going that way. Snaps him over and ultimately gets all he can out of that process there. And a little bit too much showboating maybe in the middle of the match, but I will say this. Getting over with the least amount of bumps taken, something that Scott Levy was doing, aka Scotty Flamingo, was doing here in 1992. It does it even more in WCW later, but the second run through in 97 or so. But it's just amazing to me that guys can have careers and completely transform through characters. Anyway, he's doing the light heavyweight thing at the time. Rich does get a minor comeback. Again, Raven comes back and nails knees right between the eyes. Really basic stuff. Doesn't need to be anything intense. He's willing to gain a victory, uses the ropes to get it, and then we see more of the Sting saga. Kind of a review from the Super Brawl after event as Rude throws drink in his face. Also Sting. They go back and re-show him beating Lex Luger at Super Brawl 2. One of my probably top 3 favorite Luger matches of all time. I know a lot of people say that he was uninspired, but I actually enjoyed that. I enjoy a couple of Luger's matches from 89 as well, with Steamboat specifically, but definitely a big deal when a guy shows that he's really interested in being there. Sting comes out and basically does the, I guess you'd say, the standard bearer for the company. I love Sting from 88 to 94, or 94, 95, when he kind of has to go into playing second fiddle for Hogan. I actually wish, in my world, Hogan had not come in. Maybe he goes to Japan. Maybe he starts his own company. Maybe he does different things. Would have loved to see the evolution of Sting without the interference of Hulk Hogan in the Monday Night War process, and kind of see if that's there. And I know a lot of people are going to fight that, but Sting showing reverential fear of Vader is interesting here. He kind of, during the interview excuse me, process admits that he might not be scared of Vader, but he's definitely, knowledgeable. Now, here's another interesting thing. A lot of people don't like the Vinny Vegas character that Kevin Nash, a.k.a. Diesel, of the Outsiders, put on. I love the Vinny Vegas thing. I think they could have done a lot more with it. It kind of looks like a high roller, which is the whole idea of the gimmick. They give him a match here with Chris Sullivan. Sullivan, a pretty regular enhancement talent. I like the suit pants. I like the dress shirt. Just an interesting guy. Like, if you saw that guy walking through a club and he wanted to fight you, you probably wouldn't want to do it. Nash, at this point, is very green. Probably has a couple of years experience at most. Coming off the Oz thing in October of the previous year. But what's interesting is, he doesn't need to do much. Basically, there's a spot where the enhancement talent bounces off of him for a shoulder block. But with a guy that's announced as, I think Jim Ross said 6'10", that's about all you need. And I love the mannerisms of Nash here, kind of wiping his hands off. There's a sidewalk slam that's well done in the sense of looking like a powerful guy. You want your moves to count and matter, and even a guy, and as he picks him up, the arrogance comes through. Lots of cool stuff. He does the kind of shaking of the rolling of the dice, so to speak. But I still think that Vinny Vegas, along with the Snake Eyes, which I think Nash is one of the ones to popularize that. But I think the Vinny Vegas thing, which at the end of the day could have been a major character had somebody done something with it or wanted to. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't given all of that opportunity. Next, the World Tag Team Champions are up. Eaton and Anderson. I think Bobby Eaton and Arn Anderson are, to me, a very underrated team for the time or for any time. Of course, managed in great detail by Paulie Dangerously, a.k.a. Paul Heyman. They go in and get a pretty decent match out of Joe Cruz and Terry Bronson, two enhancement talent guys. Probably give them too much a little bit here, but at the same time, these are the champions. It's their time to shine. One thing Arn Anderson does really well, and I love listening to his Q&A podcast, is he knows how to make even enhancement guys look good. Bobby Eaton does the same, hip toss out of the corner. I wish that Anderson and Eaton had hung around as a team a little more. I don't know how you do that. Maybe you go the do you go the Double A Express? How could you go with that after the deal? But even something as simple as Arn Anderson gets an arm wringer, and then he takes a back heel trip to take the guy down, and then works over the arm more. Those little nuances are the reason why people remember Arn as a big deal. Goes to the floor and gets more aggressive. He's on the floor. More can happen. It's just little small nuances. Bobby Eaton takes the man down pretty aggressively, and things pretty much continue in that direction. Tag off right there, and Anderson drops the knee right across the back, neck, and spine of his opponent. And again, it's there, and there's kind of the need to pull up on the arm. Anderson works the arm the entire match, but always has facial expressions that seem to indicate that he is aggressive, assertive about doing so. I don't remember off the top of my head a great number um, of the Steiners and Eaton and Anderson matches, but I'm guessing they're pretty good. One of the enhancement talents, though, does botch a hip toss, which is kind of embarrassing, basic move to botch, but Bobby Eaton covers it and drowns him into the ground anyway, so Eaton's not worried, he's not intimidated, he's not upset. He does the leg cravat and the uh, kind of roll through with the arm, stays on, sits down, and short arm scissors, and Eaton is looking like $1,000,000. And then Dusty Rhodes, after the Alabama Jam win for the tag team champions, Rhodes back to talking and hyping things. The Steiners, as I gotta grab my phone here, but we'll be back in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail to finish this out and hopefully bring you more tonight. Anyway, so ultimately, I love a lot of what happens in this era of WCW, as would anyone who cares about storytelling. The Steiners are up. They're in a promo. They're promoting a match with Hase and another Japanese talent whose name escapes me at this very moment because I didn't write it down. And then Brian Pillman is promoting his upcoming Cruiserweight Championship match. The Wrestle War thing, Wrestle War really is a one-match show. If you think about it in the sense of the War Games, some people say one of the best War Games ever. I tend to agree. I loved the year 1992 in WCW was probably my favorite year of the promotion, and I know it's a matter of different things. Anyway, there is a DDP acknowledgement of the upcoming Tag Team Championship Tournament for the NWA / I think it ends up being NWA / WCW Tag Team titles, if I remember correctly. And he reveals that the tournament is happening. He also reveals that Terry Bam Bam Gordy will be back. Jim Ross basically says that he doesn't really care about anything but himself. Sting is hyping his upcoming matches with Vader and winning at Wrestle War, and being curious what Volkov is going to, or not Volkov, Koloff is going to do. There's a little bit of hype around the Freebirds as well, getting some shots at Tag Gold again. There is a in-person concert from April '92, and we see the Freebirds, Hayes and Garvin, dancing on stage, kind of doing a music video thing, trying to make them crossover stars. It doesn't really work the way that I think they intended, but at the same time, it wasn't horrible. Speaking of not horrible and better than expected, the Z-Man and, which is Tom Zink, and Marcus Bagwell are up next. Bagwell has not found his true home. I actually like early Bagwell more than I do the Buff stuff. By the time Buff was a major force, so in 97 or so, I had lost all interest because the character didn't fit with what I had imagined him to be. Yes, he could have been a heel, but the over-the-topness felt forced. And him and Zink here as a tag team, even though it's short-lived, obviously goes on to be a tag team with Scorpio in 93, Patriot in 94. But anyway, sooner or later, Bagwell does find himself. I actually enjoyed Bagwell's global work as well. I wish there was more global stuff available online, but Randy Barber and Buddy Lee Parker are your team here. The punches by Bagwell, certainly rookie mistakes and lots of things from Bagwell. Not exactly, he's not there yet, but he's got maybe a year experience, something like that, maybe 2 at most. So, he doesn't exactly have himself together either. And many people would say, and I would agree, that he was thrust into the spotlight a little quickly. Cranks up on the arm, stays on the arm, kind of goes with it a little bit, and pretty assertively. Then we see tag off to Zink. Zink manages to hit Zink and Bagwell hit some double drop kicks, and they look pretty good. Zink watches as Parker heads to the outside in a hurry on the arena floor, and ultimately brings Parker back in. I mean, you have to have these matches. I didn't realize until watching this how predominant the nature of squash matches going too long is, even in 1992. I'm of a squash matches should go less than 3-4 minutes, and then two, enhancement talents can go a little longer, or two opening card match guys can go longer. I just sometimes am curious about the nature of psychology that enhancement talents go too long. Anyway, another double team, double rollback stretch of the hamstrings by the baby faces. And well done there. And again, Bagwell looks aggressive, good, but green. Top rope drop kick from Tom Zink. 1, 2, 3, and away we go. Watts must not be here yet because top rope has not been banned. Then we go on to Medusa here. Medusa at ringside as a female representative, I believe director of operations or something similar, to the Dangerous Alliance. That's a run that runs through the next several months into the, I believe, fall of 1993, or no, that isn't right, because she's in the WWF sometime in 94, so, but several more months with her in the Dangerous Alliance before the DA splits in late 92, early 93, but Medusa getting an opportunity here off the AWA is a pretty good deal. Larry Zbyszko and Nikita Koloff up next, 2 out of 3 falls. Zbyszko so very, very smart with his stalling nature. They give them like 25 minutes here. I love that. Some people don't, but to me, a good wrestling show has a match that tells a story that if you tune in and you want people to be looking at you and treating your product seriously, if I tune in at the beginning of that 22 minutes or 25 minutes, and I have no idea who either guy is, by the end you've converted me into thinking who's going to win. That's the sign of a good show. And unfortunately, it's not how many moves you do, it's who wins and who loses that really matters. And anyway, so, Zbyszko bails out. He goes to the floor. He gets sidestepped into the buckle, and Koloff, who, I don't know, maybe shouldn't have had that much issue with Zbyszko at this point. Obviously, Koloff still looks to be in $1 million worth of shape. Sad that his run only runs through maybe another year and a half or so. Wonder what he would have been like in the Monday Night Wars. Zbyszko brings him back up and hits a neck breaker. Doesn't get all he wants on it, and then we see Koloff kind of getting some ride time and back to a basic headlock. They get a couple minutes out of a headlock. It's good to see that. Medusa on the outside watches as Zbyszko switches into a abdominal stretch. Cheats a bit. Referee gets involved in that. Back to the headlock. Continuation of the maneuver. And back to a chinlock by Koloff. Koloff taking every bit of power and authority and assertiveness out of things. Zbyszko starts to get frustrated by this point in the match. Probably missed a fall here along the way because they do the 2 out of 3 gimmick pretty aggressively here. But needless to say, worth watching if you like crowd psychology and if you like telling stories without needing to risk getting hurt. And I like getting my phone, so I will run over there and grab it, and we'll be back right after this. Zbyszko does, in fact, hit a good pile driver for I guess you'd say, near fall. And again, he's kind of a big deal. Odd that a pile driver doesn't get a full victory for him, and the anger and frustration that we see from Zbyszko is warranted under the heel nature of things. Odd that also too, that being a major finish, that wasn't a finish, at least for a fall here. Zbyszko continues to beat down his opponent. Zbyszko, finally does get fired back on by Koloff, but short cutoffs. If you notice, Zbyszko is a guy who's been around since the 70s, trained by Bruno Sammartino, doesn't do anything he doesn't need to do, but at the same time can kick it up when he needs to. One of my favorite matches of all time that goes under remembered is the nature of the the Steve Regal program there. Anyway, we see Koloff get an inside cradle / small package and get his first fall. Anyway, so we come back to the next fall, and Koloff runs shoulder first into the turnbuckle. Zbyszko continues to work that over for several minutes, slowing the match down in a discernible fashion. Now he's gone to cheating, now he's gone to choking, doing everything possible underhanded, takes the man to the outside of the ring, building to that more, I don't know if you'd say violent by 1992 standards, even going to the floor might be violent, who knows, but and then they get back in the ring. Koloff goes at it again. Odd that Heyman is not out here with Zbyszko at this point. Zbyszko slows the match down with another cutoff, and with less than 10 minutes remaining, Zbyszko really trying to get something out of this. Medusa, beautiful at ringside, both physically, but also her level of engagement as the match continues comes up. Zbyszko takes a few shots at Koloff, never really cuts him off completely from a comeback, and actually he fires up for a minute or two, but gets cut right back down with some shots and back into the chinlock. Interesting because Koloff at this point probably shouldn't have been doing a match this long, coming back this quickly, but at the same time he's able to get it and make it work. Back elbow, and then you see Koloff fire up again, and then we see Koloff get thrown, I believe, over the top rope, if I remember correctly here, which doesn't lead well for Zbyszko or friends or anything there. Back elbow, and again, Koloff is a guy who, at this point, still trying to wonder where his allegiances lie, still trying to wonder where his future goes, and they do a good job of keeping that guarded for the next several weeks, actually until the pay-per-view, if we're completely honest. Zbyszko comes stumbling out of the corner, he's not happy, and Koloff slams him in the middle, kind of trying to set up the sickle. That Russian sickle had been built by this point from 85-86. Trip from the outside. Heyman finally, or Paulie dangerously finally at ringside. I think he was there at other points, but not completely all the time. Russian sickle by Koloff. Koloff comes back, gets the victory. And again, then there's dissension in the back room between Zbyszko and the Dangerous Alliance. It is worked out in the weeks to come, but for how long, we don't really know. In any event, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody, the only other thing of major note is that Barry Windham will be in next week's on next week's card, I believe in the main event. Haven't actually watched this program yet, but Windham is certainly setting things up. Windham and Austin going to be your match here. Awesome match there. Come back, join us. Over 1,100 and almost 1,180 across all different promotions, but worth a check out. In any event, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.